So you coached the first team,
Yeah.
and they've just won the Gauteng Sasol League, and now they're heading off to the National League champs. How are you going to maintain confidence in the team as well as that winning mentality going forward?
You know what I think it is? It's really the culmination of the past 3 seasons. The team's really grown together. Obviously, people come, people go, but the core essentially has been constant throughout. And they've really grown together like a family. There's amazing banter between this team. Sometimes I feel it's a little below the belt, but everyone gets over it. It's really fantastic. And just having that and the real sense of family and community within ourselves. And we look out for each other, not only on the football field, but out in social settings as well. It's really just a big family. I'm not too concerned about keeping the vibe necessarily between the team because they create that themselves. And it's a product of just how we've grown together over the last 3 years.
And I suppose that makes it much easier for you because you can worry more about the on-field things, and the girls will take care of themselves off-field and the social side and all of that.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, now we're prepared. Even this week during training, we've said to the girls, you are physically prepared. You can go into national champs and do extremely well.
Sure.
You guys are where you need to be, and more than giving you a few mental tips and tips on an opposition, say how to break down an opposition. More than that, we can't really give you. It's really up to you now. And like you said, we can focus on things like keeping the players healthy. So extra recovery, making sure they eat well, making sure they hydrate well. Everything else, it's up to them on the pitch now.
Okay. And now tell me, when you're going into the champs and that now, what time are the games more or less? Is it also afternoon times like this?
The times are varied. I think our first game we play is 3:30.
Okay.
So I think we talk about things like global warming. You can feel how hot it is today already at this time, and it almost seems like it gets hotter throughout the afternoon. I think we're experiencing our hottest temperatures around 2:30, 3 o'clock nowadays. So that's going to be quite a tough one, the 3:30 match. The match after that, the next group game match is at 10:30, which again, summer on the high felt, it's going to be warm, but obviously not as warm as a post-noon match.
Exactly.
Okay, well that's interesting. In this heat, it's a problem. But it's part of the conditioning phase. And
the other factor being that we train at night, so we're not used to this.
Yeah.
So now that's why we've had to get these weekend games in during the day so that we can get used to the climate.
The grass as well, especially after a little bit of rain and things like that, you can actually feel the heat. Like so. Ciara, I've got a question for you. Okay, so following the success of your team over this past year, do you find yourself maybe looking for a job in the women's national team coming up, or is that something, one of your goals or objectives at all?
I think just in any environment, in any working environment, as a person, you'd always want to better yourself and essentially climb the ladder.
Yes.
For me as a coach, I always want to increase my learning, just so that it's things I can pass down to the players, whether it be in a national setup, whether it be in a university setup. It's not necessarily something that I'm looking to do, but
you would always be
the fact of the matter is that as a coach, I've not learned everything, and I would continue to do licenses, maybe go overseas, get some training overseas, get different experience of players, and essentially all bringing it back down to passing on that knowledge to players.
That is very good.
Sure.
Perfect.
I actually have a question for you, Erin. I'd like to find out, how would you describe your coaching in terms of quality and factors around either socially or during on the pitch, doing drills and everything?
pretend like she's not here.
Yeah.
I can't actually, because it's something I've always wanted to, dare I say, admit.
Yeah.
In both socially, on the field, football-wise, she's extremely intelligent. She knows things about things that you don't expect someone to know about outside of the football field, and then she has a knowledge about the football game that she also is surprising at times. And you're like, whoa,
That's
okay.
amazing.
I didn't know that was something you had experienced in your footballing career that you were willing to share with us. Obviously, she's willing to share everything. It's her role, but there's things you don't expect her to know in both social and football settings. She's very intelligent. And then just her player management is very brilliant. Her just thoughtfulness about who the player is, what works for them, how to get them going. She's not just one size fits all, I'm going to motivate you all. It's different. She knows her players and she knows what works for them, how to get them going, and that's then again, she mixes the social and the football because that's based on her experiences with us. Socially, she then applies them to the football coaching.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, I think that's what I can say about
That's
it.
very good.
Just,
And there's no gun. There is no gun.
she's like, I've been practicing this for a while now. So now, Ciara, you've got a lot of talented players in your team, a lot of prolific players with fantastic credentials. How do you find the balance between getting the younger girls coming through and those more experienced players that have been there and done that now?
A sense of, if you look at a person's expression when the so-called fresh meat comes down to the team, we our more experienced players, our national team players who have 100 plus caps for the national team, love the young players in the team. And it's really, it's a strong bond. It's almost a very caring bond that they have with the players, and they're so ready to take players under their wing and just share their knowledge, share their experience, and really support the players, get the players to grow.
That's amazing.
So it's quite a nurturing process as well.
Absolutely. And I mean, it doesn't necessarily matter the age of a player. A good example is our goalkeeper over here.
Yeah.
So Yuluna's played in the national team, got national team caps. Our second string goalkeeper, Lexi, player who's over 30, who's very capable on the field, very capable in training. But Yuke's being a younger player in terms of age, is always there supporting Lex, giving Lex tips, helping her in training, raising the game. That's just a fine example of maybe a more experienced player. And it's not based on age. It's not necessarily the youngsters coming into the team. Even the older players. I mean, we do have a handful of players over 30 now. Yes, all of them well experienced, but the more experienced players always come down and just give them a few pointers here and there, which really helps. It goes a long way in also growing that compatibility between the players and that sense of family and belonging as well.
Oh, that's very good.
It's brilliant.
But I also want to find out, do you guys have any special initiations when there's a new player? Or?
I think, I don't know if it's official, but it might be me just trying to make it a thing, but we trying to make the new players do the dirty work of packing up the ball bag, putting the clothes away, carrying the cooler box. That's about it, but nothing.
That's cool.
And that's a message. Yes, carry our stuff first.
We did the work, you have to put in the time.
No, that's good.
Erin, okay, so what kind of advice, I ask you, would you give to a young lady that's wanting to get into football on a more serious note? Because obviously, when I was growing up, there weren't a lot of female teams, and I know all the girls started off playing for boys teams. But obviously, with the rise of women's football as well, a lot more teams are popping up. But the key question is, what advice would you give to a young lady wanting to become more professional, take football to the next level?
I would start with commit. Make the decision that this is something that you see yourself doing and give your all to it. It might not be in school. I don't know if we all went to that kind of school where you have to do every sport, and if you're sporty, you instantly are a swimmer when you never wanted to be a swimmer. But at some point you have to make the decision that this is something that I want to do, and I don't want to just be sort of subpar or just good enough at every other sport. I want to get good at this. So that's a decision you have to make and then commit to it. And then the next thing I would say is trust yourself. That you are able, that's the reason you can make that decision. If you weren't even questioning it, you probably aren't good enough to make the decision. But the fact that you're considering it, trust in your abilities to be the best player that you can be. And then the last thing would just be trust the people around you and your support systems. Coaches and players that are better than you are not there to make you look not as good, and you're not there to just fill a space. Everyone is there for a reason, and use them, not necessarily use and abuse, but use the advice they give, use their playing style to adapt and learn things. And so trust the people around you and the information they're willing to share with you, because it's gonna be so beneficial later, at a later stage, when you think you've now almost made it.
Exactly.
You question why and how you got there, and because you trusted those people and yourself, you're now here and you have a future ahead of you. So, I think that's what I'd say.
Very good, thank you.
I don't know if you two guys have any other questions before I move on to the listeners.
I have one. I wanted to ask, as a coach, you do get a lot of opinions from supporters, and you get a lot of rowdy supporters that, if there's nothing going on the pitch, they like to scream at you, or they like to scream at the players. How do you handle the criticism?
I think a very big lesson is that it is what it is.
Is what it is.
You got to. I think the first, really one of the fundamental things of being a human in any type of human interaction is that you've got your opinion, but it's based on your experience and it's based on you. It's got absolutely nothing to do with me. Maybe you have a judgment against a decision I've made on a field or a substitute, say, or the way the team's lining up. But at the end of the day, all things considered, this is the absolute best. And my absolute best is worth it. So opinions around it, yeah, sometimes, it challenges a person, and if you dwell too much on it and you think about it, it's challenging and it's difficult, it might get you down. But really, acceptance is the key.
For sure. Oh, that's 100%.
I think we could take that into our own personal lives as well.
Totally.
To look at things, I mean, we all coach as well.
Yeah.
Not at the level that you're at, of course, but it's frustrating.
No, it really is. And I mean, it doesn't matter at which level, it's the same feedback. Because there's always going to be someone who knows that much more than you and who thinks that they could do a better job than you.
Absolutely.
And someone's dad, someone's mom, even someone's auntie, and other things as well. I mean, match officials, it's a challenge. But at the end of the day, each of those people, they all make up the environment that we're in, and we just need to accept that they're there, and you don't have to buy into their opinions, you don't have to prove yourself or come down to their judgment. You just got to do you.
Take it on the chin and roll.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
I've also got another question. Let's say, because I know the men's have a FIFA Club World Cup. That makes sense. If you guys had to win this championship, how would you feel if there was another league after this, where women's teams from all over the world could compete against each other? How do you guys think you would fare in that kind of thing, especially like teams coming from the USA, Spain, the Netherlands?
So at first I think I'd be terrified. But then I guess what I always put myself down to being a sports person is that fear is what drives you.
Yeah.
So I think I'd be thrilled. As soon as I got over that initial it would become an excitement and a desire and a drive to just see what we can do and to see it. As we said to you when we were coming in, if we don't think we can do something, we definitely won't. We have to believe we can. So we might not necessarily think we're going to win, but if we don't think we can go there and compete, then we shouldn't go. So it would turn into a passion and a motivation to just see what we can do against the best of the best, because we would be the best of the best in South Africa. So it's only fair to see what we're like.
And I would love to see something like that. I think
I would love to as well.
quite special, because right now the pinnacle of women's football is the international scene. And if not everybody gets a chance to play it, but I feel if there's like a club World Cup, essentially, I think we'll do exceptionally well, because there's other players that we get from others. And then there will be a lot more younger players coming through, because at the moment it's a lot of the older players, which I find.
There'd also be a lot more exposure, which is one of one of the biggest things that we need as a footballing country, or maybe just in women's football. We just need exposure. We need people to see what the players are capable of, and that would be the perfect platform, because it would be international, and it would give the younger, as you say.
100%.
And this is also part and parcel why we're doing this with you ladies, is we want the exposure for you. We don't want to say it's developing, it should be developed already, but it's not at that level yet. So if we can play that much of a part in getting a few more people interested in it, job done at the end of the day.
100%.
We've got a couple of listeners that have popped us messages on Facebook and Twitter, so I just want to run through them with you if you don't mind. One of our listeners is Will. He has typed the following message, which says, there is an air of professionalism that surrounds the club at senior level. How do they manage to align the vision of their players like that when they have so many different age squads in the academy?
Well, it makes sense that our player vision will be aligned because we have so many different squads. So when you come in here, even just as an 8-year-old trying out for a development team doesn't necessarily play games, they just really train and they get real basic learning. From that age, even going into the 14s, the 16s, the coaching philosophy is exactly the same throughout. We've built the club in such a way that if you come down, when you graduate to the 16s, you'll know what to expect because the training is going to be the same. Obviously, the intensity changes.
Correct.
Same as if you go up to the seniors, again, the intensity changes. And eventually, when you get up to the Sassa League, it makes the transition for these players that much easier because the coaching philosophy is the exact same the whole way down. And I mean, in our team today, you saw a couple of youngsters playing there. You saw Jessica Wade playing. She's come up through our under-16s. 2 players have come from the Randburg side of things, Ciara and Izzy. We also did a coaching project out in Randburg. And again, applying the same philosophies made it just so much easier for those girls to come and integrate immediately into the Sasol team. Yeah.
Okay, so well, I hope that answers your first question. He's got another question here. He says, yeah, the junior coaches are more focused on development and they can look past results. 1 or 2 bad results, obviously. He says he also tries to look past results, but at times it is difficult. How do you snap yourself out of that mode? When do you start taking it more serious and just saying, okay, you can't put a bad result down as a bad result. There's things we need to work on here.
I think I'm sure you'll attest to this as well. There's always things that we need to work on. Even if we go and have a fantastic result in the league against a team, say we beat a team 10 or more goals. It doesn't mean that on Tuesday we're going to train like a bunch of rubbishers.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be things in that 10-0 game that we maybe need to do better. There's going to be things in the next game that of course we need to do better because of the oppositions all vary and are different, and they have our respect as well. Going from 1 or 2 bad results, and especially in the development side, yes, there's a time where there needs to be professionalism. And you've got to be honest with players as well. And especially at a young age, because like I said, we need them to be groomed in such a way that when they get up to us, they can handle things like positive criticism. And results maybe not necessarily going their way. I don't want to say cope with losing because that's not the end goal. The end goal is winning. But they need to cope with the downs as much as the ups. So, yeah, I think it really comes down to obviously the honesty with the players. There is a time in every young player's age where they need to start taking responsibility for themselves and their actions on the field. And I think, with that sort of coming of age, that's where you see the transition in players. Maybe a 14-year-old, you're not going to shout and scream at a 14-year-old for conceding goals necessarily, but you will speak to them and you'll say, you can do this better, you can do that better, and these are the things you need to work on. And it almost switches on for the girls themselves because they also want to be competitive, they also want to win. So in terms of their own playing, there is an age where a player understands we can't just have bad results anymore, we need to start working a little bit harder.
Fantastic.
From a player's point of view on that question, I think one thing that's very common in the team is the direct addressing of issues from game to training. So very often we'll prepare for a game and we'll know from past experience they don't have a tall defense, so we'll practice crosses. And I don't notice it directly, but in the game we then score 4 goals crosses, and coach will point it out and say, that's exactly what we practiced. And it's almost direct, it's almost embedded into us. I don't notice it, but we practiced it. It became our game plan habitually, dare I say, and then we do it and we just implement it naturally. And I've noticed it in the development teams. When we come down and watch, we'll see a fancy free kick strategy, and one of the coaches will lean over, hey, we practice that in training. And it's that direct, what needs to be practiced gets practiced and it gets implemented immediately in the game without even thinking about it.
As a coach, it must be brilliant when things you've worked on take that payoff.
Absolutely.
It's an aha moment.
It's really something else, especially like Erin says, the really specific things. If you give the players a task to do something specific and they do it and they're successful, it's not I told you so, it's yes, we can now all win together because we've all bought into the same idea, and it's obviously for the best and for the greater achievement of the team.
Sure. Okay, that's brilliant. We're going to move on to Joshua Elsa's question. He says, do you feel that football spotlight is more focused on the men's teams, or do you think there is a shift at the moment and ladies are finally getting the recognition they deserve? You can both answer that one.
I think it's fair to say that the shift has happened. I don't think it will ever be enough, but it is positive that it's happening. It needs to happen, it's only fair. We are playing football regardless of who or what we are, we're playing football. So I appreciate that it's happening and appreciate that things like this are coming up, and like your podcast, and choosing to talk to women about women's football. Dare I say, just say football, because we play football again. So it is appreciated that it's shifted. it just needs to continue. It can't be surface level, face value for the press, for the... So, yeah. To those higher up, please just continue. Don't stop, please.
Exactly.
Safa.
I wasn't going to be the one to say that.
Oh, we've called Safa out a couple of times.
So you guys went there.
Listen, without much back knowledge or anything, we just say it. It's all good jokes. If it hits a nerve, it hits a nerve, and hopefully changes happen.
Well, I think you can already see a positive change, and sometimes as people involved with clubs, as coaches, we want to see dramatic changes, and we want to see, complete turnarounds, the difference between night and day type of thing. But I think with this National Women's League, you can see that things are starting to happen, and football's taking a step in the right direction, or in the correct direction. What we term is correct and right. Obviously, we want to play at the highest level, most high level possible, and we want to play against different competition internationally, like you've mentioned, and there will one day be a Women's World League. That's something that's going to happen, and football in South Africa may turn professional for women one day. We can see the steps in the right direction. I think those the people in administration, sometimes we want them to do a better job, but again, it's the same as the guys on the side of the field wanting me to do a better job or wanting me to do something different. They are where they are, and we need to trust that they are doing their best.
Sure, very good analogy.
Yeah.
On the note of the administration, I said surface level. We appreciate that it's being done, but it needs to be done efficiently and properly and with as much effort as it's done.
And continued.
Exactly. It's almost done as though, we did it.
Like
Okay,
a-
cool. Yeah, check it off the
Yeah, it
box.
doesn't stop there.
It needs to be thorough, it needs to be intentional, it needs to be because you want to, not just because people are kind of paying attention to football. Let's just put some energy in there. It needs to be,
Just be value.
there we go.
Cool. We've got one more social media question, and it's from Twitter at I'm Not KB. He's got a two-part question here. He's asking, is Janine van Wyk registered as a player or a coach for the tournament upcoming? And then the second part is, will Amanda Dlamini be part of that team as well?
Janine's currently registered for Fortuna in Denmark.
Okay.
So that's where she's registered. She's here on a bit of vacation at the moment. So, she'll be down in a personal capacity at the tournament. Obviously, she's the founder of our club. And, as you watch football overseas and you see the owners in the stands, so you'll see Jay there. But she won't be there in a playing capacity. Amanda Dlamini, however, will be there in a playing capacity. Obviously, a very exciting player to have down always.
Booster.
Totally, and I think as well, not just on the field as a player, but just her presence is truly phenomenal and a very peaceful person. And really, I think if anyone's got super nerves or anything, she's the calmer of all things.
So everyone looks to her for that, like, okay, it's going to be okay. Wow.
Yeah,
Even
absolutely.
on the field, her
Yeah.
playing style is calm.
Playing style is 100%
It
calm.
blows my mind that she's so composed. So it translates both on and off.
And it buys her extra time on the field as well, being that composed.
For sure it does.
How does she do that?
That should be the next podcast. Untapping her secret power. Alright, so we're going to move on to one of our favourite segments. It's called Ultimate 30. So now we're going to put you on the spot. Yeah. A bit
Put us to the
of...
spot.
Yeah. A bit of...
Don't ask me anything too serious.
Well, we'll see how serious it gets. We've
You
had...
can answer everything.
I think this is going to be a team effort. It's a team effort. We've had two previous people starting the segment with us. We've got one that's got 4 answers right, and we've got one that's 5 answers right.
I don't.
It's 30 seconds.
Oh!
So it's like playing 30 seconds with your friends.
I thought let's answer 30 questions.
Oh yeah,
No, not 30 questions. No, it's 30 seconds.
Goodness,
As
alright.
many questions as you can get right, and I hope you don't get all of them right, because then I've run out of questions, and I'm going to have to think of them
that would be
on the
brilliant.
spot.
That would be brilliant.
All right, Ashley, can you time us in, please?
Are these questions about cooking?
I don't even know how to spell cooking at the moment, so no. And they're all
Surprise
football
us.
related.
Alright.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
And your time starts now. Who is former Banyana player with 100 caps and is a supersport analyst?
Amanda Dlamini,
Well done. Who won the 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup?
the USA.
USA.
Who has the most caps for Banyana?
Janine van Wyk.
Shocker.
Which player in your team won the 2018 COSAFA Cup with Banyana?
5 seconds left.
Yeah.
Mamelo Makabane. No, Pumalelo Nyante.
But-
Linda, no.
Gabs.
Gabby.
Yes, there we go. Well done.
Gabs.
Yeah, we'll ask you one more as a bonus question.
Bonus
Seeing that you
round.
eventually got that one right, which I was impressed.
Bonus round.
Who is in your group for the national champs?
Who's in that group?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We have executive ladies from Eastern Cape and we've
Yes.
got Mandy's from Limpopo.
Well done. Well done. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which means you are tied for first on our Ultimate 30. Well done,
That's
ladies.
fantastic.
As 2 brains are better than one.
Remember, she flew in. She flew, yeah, she was called up. And this is another thing, a testament to the type of play and the work ethic of players here. Whenever Gabby got called up to that COSAFA Cup, it was really, really late. There was an injury in the team. The team had already travelled. They had already started the campaign. And this girl had to fly in, play immediately. She hadn't even seen the set pieces, just as a simple part of training. She had to fly in, play the game. And I think, Gabby as a player, well-rounded player, a phenomenally talented player, just went in there and did her job. And I mean, that's akin to the rest of her teammates as well. I'm pretty sure at any level you can call on any of these players to do the impossible and they come out on top and they do it.
That is mad. I mean, like, we just see the answer and we're like, okay, well done, Gabby. But now you're telling us
The
this.
backstory is, there's always a backstory.
Well, seeing that we're on backstories, is there any other stories that most people won't know, the general public won't know about the team or certain players in the team that you think is very interesting?
Yeah, for me, a really, really interesting story is actually about Erin.
She had this one pre-recorded ready.
I don't even know about this.
Erin is a multi-talented sportswoman. She's had a foray into karate.
What?
She's also had time travelling to the Maccabi games with netball as well. So in terms of, it's not just her football that she's obviously competes at a high level, it's various sports too. And I think, again, testament to the competitive nature of our players and the commitment to be multidisciplined is truly phenomenal.
Jeez, Erin, that's mad.
And you're only going to pass that down now, being a teacher.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What age group are you aiming?
to teach.
Yeah.
Grade 10 to 12.
Okay, so the older kids. as
Wow.
well. So you brave all around.
Now, that takes a lot of work. My sister-in-law is a high school teacher, and I know the frustration is very difficult.
I think it's better to handle semi-adults than children that need their noses wiped. And
Do we ever become adults though, really?
Men, no.
maybe, yeah. Don't generalize.
We're still in that
that.
children phase.
We've been since we were 16. I think mine will always be Mpumi. Nompumelelo Nyandeni. She's been playing football for years. We used to fight when she gave me advice. I'd be like, no, but I had a better idea. And then I realized why she was giving me that advice. It's been years. She started when she got her first call up for the national team when she was 14, I think. She won the first ever Sasol League championships. So she's got a world of knowledge that I don't even imagine how I would be able to, how much time I need to spend playing football to actually match how much she knows. So yeah, that's
It's also
my
because you do
favourite.
so many other things though.
Probably.
Well, look, from our side, we are done. But if there's anything else you want to give a shout out to promote the team, please.
A
Platform
message
is
to your
yours.
competition. I know from Celtic have also been quite high, haven't they, in the city?
They're
In the
in
Sasol?
they're in the national league.
Are they?
So this is the end goal for them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is to
Okay.
win this. And then
Do you have a message for them?
Fire some warning shots.
We'll keep the guns holstered for now, but I think really and truly, you see this is Erin, she loves to play with the gun a lot, but we'll keep the guns holstered for the moment. But really, I understand that next week is a work week for everyone, but if there's a chance for anyone to come down to the matches, and not necessarily to support us, but just to support football in general, you'll have an experience of your life. Playing in Tsakani, the community comes out, there'll be vuvuzelas, there'll be shouting, there'll be chanting, and there'll obviously be footballers putting on a fabulous show. So if there's anyone out there who's got a bunch of time on their hands who can really come out and support the teams, whether it's us, whether it's the other teams, really come out and have a look at women's football. Maybe get involved. Maybe you find your new passion.
Sure. Listeners, even if you don't have time, make time. You've got to get out there,
Find
please.
time.
I'm going to come down. I'm going to watch a couple of the games. So
Awesome.
if anybody needs a trip from the East Rand, Benoni.
Yeah, you guys are big close from Bologna. Yeah.
Yeah, it's It's been an absolute privilege. Thank you so much for your time today. We really do appreciate it. And like I say, hopefully we make a little dent, and definitely be following your progress closely. Thank you so much.
And we'll be listening to the podcast.
Oh, fantastic.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
All
you
the
very
best.
much.
Perfect. Thank you.
Do you guys have any social